Hello students, and welcome to our Module 6 overview on leadership and power distance. In this overview, we will be referring back to the definition that we looked at in CMS 303 on what power distance is. We will prepare you for the discussion on leadership styles and power distance through a series of illustrations before we get to our checklist of assignments. The following is the most succinct definition of power distance that I've come across. Simply stated, power distance is the extent to which the less powerful members of society expect and accept that power is distributed unequally. The graphic on this slide is another illustration by Yang Liu demonstrating the differences between German and Chinese culture. The blue section represents the German concept of low power distance, where the boss is only slightly higher than those with whom he works. By contrast, in Chinese culture, there is a high power distance, and the boss is the boss, and everyone knows it, and everyone expects him to act like a boss. In this module, you will participate in a discussion concerning the differences between chain of command leadership and the round table approach. This graphic simply illustrates the differences between them. On the left-hand side, you have the chain of command, the hierarchical structure, where leadership is by institutional authority, impact is through delegated responsibility, and the mission comes about by institutional integrity. The more collaborative approach, with a network of relationships, illustrated on the right, shows that leadership is by social trust and personal integrity. Impact comes through personal initiative, and the mission is the difference that matters through individual and collective action. Anyone who's familiar with the game of chess will understand that there is a functional hierarchy among the pieces. This is a good illustration for hierarchical leadership. It's not that the pawns are less important. In fact, they fulfill a crucial role. They are the front line of defense for protecting the nobles and specifically for protecting the king. And so in hierarchy, there are people with different functions. Each have their own role and each have their own responsibility. At the same time, they must work cooperatively and collaboratively for two purposes. First, protect the king, and secondly, place the other king in a position where he is completely unprotected. This is the purpose of the game, and there is a purpose to the hierarchy in this realm. The round table analogy points to a desire and a belief in collaborative leadership. Solomon valued the counsel of wise elders, which led to greater wisdom on his part. By contrast, his son Rehoboam was a fool who rejected the counsel of those same wise men. King Arthur trusted and valued the wisdom and experience of his noble knights, so he invited their opinions and their counsel as the Knights of the Round Table. In this continuum of collaboration, we see on the one side a turf mentality, and on the far end of the spectrum, a trust mentality. You see the various categories from competition, coexisting, beginning to communicate, cooperating, coordinating with one another, collaborating with one another, and then a full integration. As a leader, you will discover that conflict management is a reality you need to be aware of. Not only do you need to be aware of it, but you need to know what to do and how to resolve situations. As we go through this semester, we will look at that not only from an American perspective, but how we go about with conflict resolution from an international or intercultural perspective. Throughout the course Intercultural Foundations, we discussed the cultural dynamics introduced by Dr. Geert Hofstede. In your lecture video, you will hear a 15-minute discussion on high and low power distance from Dr. Hofstede himself. You will also read Chapter 6 in Pluteman's book on leadership and power, and once again, we'll be looking at intercultural leadership and how power distance relates to relationships on the mission field and for ministry. You will participate in a discussion forum on your approach, the kind of leadership that you grew up around, whether it was chain of command or more of a collaborative roundtable approach. And so I look forward to participating in that discussion with you. Finally, you will complete the reading guide, and so make sure to have the reading guide printed out as you're reading through Pluteman so that you don't have to go back and reread.